Lee Hyun pressed his face against the cold window of the spaceship. Outside, stars moved slowly past like tiny diamonds on black cloth. But his eyes were fixed on something much bigger and scarier. The alien mothership was huge. It was so big that it blocked out whole sections of stars. The ship looked like a living creature made of metal and lights. Green and blue colors pulsed along its surface like a heartbeat. "You don't have to do this," Park Soo said from behind him. His friend's voice was worried. "This could be a trap, Hyun. The aliens might want to hurt you." Hyun turned around to look at his best friend. Park Soo was an engineer. He was smart and always careful. Right now his face showed how scared he was. Kim Dami sat nearby reading data on her tablet. She was a scientist who studied alien life. Her dark eyes looked up at them. "The message came directly from their queen," she said quietly. "Not from their diplomats or generals. Just from her." "That's very strange," Hyun nodded. It was strange. For 3 months, humans and the Viridian aliens had been fighting. Small battles happened near the borders of their territories. Both sides lost ships and people. The aliens thought humans were too violent. Humans thought the aliens were trying to take over human worlds. Then yesterday, everything changed. A message came to Earth. It was not sent through normal channels. It did not go to the human government or the diplomats. It came straight to Hyun. The alien queen wanted to see him. Just him. She did not say why. "Maybe she wants to talk about peace," Hyun said, but his voice did not sound sure. "Or maybe she wants to make an example of you," Park Soo replied. "Show other humans what happens when they fight the Viridian Empire." Hyun had thought about that too. He knew he might not come back from this meeting. But someone had to try. The fighting was getting worse. Soon it might become a real war. Millions of people could die. The captain of their ship spoke over the intercom. "We're getting close to their docking bay. Mr. Lee, are you ready?" Hyun took a deep breath. "Yes, I'm ready." He walked to the shuttle bay where a small ship waited. This ship would take him to the alien mothership. Park Soo and Kim Dami followed him. "Remember what we practiced," Kim Dami said. "Their language sounds like music and clicking. The translator will help, but there might be delays." "Don't show fear," Park Soo added. "But don't act too confident either. We don't know their customs very well." Hyun hugged both of his friends. "If something happens to me, tell Earth what you saw here. Tell them I tried." The shuttle was small and cramped. The pilot was nervous. Everyone was nervous. As they flew toward the alien ship, Hyun thought about his life. He used to be a soldier, then a military planner. He was good at understanding how battles worked. Later, he became a diplomat because he was tired of fighting. He wanted to help people solve problems with words instead of weapons. Maybe that was why the Queen chose him. Maybe she had studied his history. Maybe she thought he would understand something that other diplomats could not. The alien docking bay was enormous. Ships of all sizes floated inside it. Some looked like the ones humans built. Others were completely strange. One ship looked like a giant flower made of metal. Another looked like it was grown instead of built. 2 alien guards met Hyun when he stepped out of the shuttle. They were tall, with 4 arms each. Their skin was green and hard like armor. They had large eyes that reflected light in many colors. They looked at him but did not speak. One of them gestured for Hyun to follow. They walked through long hallways. The walls glowed with soft light that moved in patterns. Other aliens stopped to stare at him as he passed. Some looked curious. Others looked angry. A few looked disgusted. The hallways were like a maze. They went up and down and turned in many directions. Hyun tried to remember the way, but it was impossible. If he needed to escape, he would be lost. Finally, they reached a huge door. It was as tall as a building and covered with symbols that moved and changed. The guards stopped walking. One of them touched a panel on the wall. The door began to open slowly. Light poured out from the room beyond. Hyun could hear voices. Many voices. They were not speaking human languages. The sounds were like singing mixed with the clicking of insects. As the door opened wider, he could see inside. The room was massive. It was bigger than any room Hyun had ever seen. The ceiling was so high that it disappeared into shadows. But what made him stop breathing was not the size of the room. It was all the aliens inside. There were dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. They stood in groups around the room. Some wore what looked like armor. Others wore flowing robes. A few had symbols of rank that glowed on their bodies. They were all looking at the door. They were all looking at him. In the center of the room was a throne. It was made of some kind of crystal that grew up from the floor like a tree. Sitting on the throne was the largest alien Hyun had ever seen. She had 6 arms instead of 4. Her eyes were bigger and brighter than the others. She wore a crown that looked like it was made of light itself. This had to be Queen Velara. The voices in the room got quieter as Hyun entered. Soon there was complete silence. Hundreds of alien eyes watched him take each step. His footsteps echoed in the enormous space. Hyun walked toward the throne. He tried to look calm and confident. Inside, his heart was beating so fast he thought everyone could hear it. When he was about 20 feet from the Queen, he stopped. He was not sure if he should get closer. Queen Velara studied him for a long moment. Her large eyes seemed to look right through him. Then she spoke. Her voice was translated into English, but it still sounded musical and strange. "Lee Hyun of Earth," she said. "You have come." "Yes, Your Majesty," Hyun replied. "You called for me." The Queen leaned forward slightly. Behind her, other aliens whispered to each other. Some of them looked excited. Others looked angry. "Do you know why you are here?" the Queen asked. Hyun thought carefully before answering. "No, Your Majesty. I hope it is to discuss peace between our peoples." A sound came from the crowd of aliens. It might have been laughter, but Hyun was not sure. The Queen raised one of her hands and the sound stopped. "Peace, sir," she repeated the word slowly. "Yes, we will discuss peace. But first, Lee Hyun of Earth, there are other matters to address. Important matters that will decide the future of your species." The way she said it made Hyun's blood turn cold. This was not going to be a simple diplomatic meeting. This was something much bigger and much more dangerous. The Queen gestured to someone in the crowd. A large alien with scars on his armor stepped forward. His eyes glowed with anger as he looked at Hyun. "General Korth will explain why you are really here," the Queen said. Hyun suddenly realized that he might have made a terrible mistake by coming here alone. General Korth stepped closer to Hyun. The alien general was even bigger than the Queen. His 4 arms were thick with muscle. Scars covered his green armor like a map of old battles. When he spoke, his voice was deep and full of anger. "Human," General Korth said, pointing one of his clawed fingers at Hyun. "You stand before the greatest court in the galaxy, but you do not deserve this honor." The other aliens in the room began to make noise. Some clicked their tongues. Others made sounds like angry birds. Hyun could feel their hatred like heat from a fire. "Your species is violent and dangerous," the general continued. "In the past 3 months you have attacked our ship 17 times. You have stolen resources from systems that belong to us. You have shown no respect for the power of the Viridian Empire." Hyun wanted to argue. The fights the general talked about were not attacks. They were humans defending themselves. The aliens had been taking things from space around human worlds, but he knew this was not the time to interrupt. "Worst of all," General Korth said, his voice getting louder, "your people refuse to surrender. Even when we show you our strength, you keep fighting. This proves you cannot be trusted. You will never stop trying to expand and take what belongs to others." The aliens in the crowd began to shout agreement. They waved their arms and made angry sounds. Some of them looked like they wanted to attack Hyun right there. Queen Velara watched everything in silence. Her large eyes moved between Hyun and the crowd. She did not try to stop the general from speaking. "That is why," General Korth said, "I have advised our queen to end this problem quickly. We should destroy your homeworld before you become too strong. We should eliminate your species like we have done to others who threatened our empire." The crowd cheered. The sound was like thunder in the huge room. Hyun felt sick. These aliens were talking about killing everyone on Earth. Everyone he had ever known. His family, his friends, billions of innocent people. But then another alien stepped forward. This one was smaller and did not wear armor. Instead, he wore long robes that changed color as he moved. When he spoke, his voice was calmer than the general's. "Your Majesty," the new alien said, "I am Ambassador Nix. I speak for those who believe we should think carefully before making such a serious decision." General Korth turned toward Ambassador Nix. "The decision is obvious. Humans are a threat. We remove threats. But perhaps," Ambassador Nix said carefully, "we should try to understand them first. The humans are weak compared to us. They live short lives. They have no natural weapons or armor. Yet they have spread to many worlds and built a civilization that spans star systems. How did they do this?" "Who cares how they did it?" General Korth snapped. "The important thing is to stop them before they grow stronger." "I disagree," Ambassador Nix replied. Knowledge is always valuable. If we understand how humans achieved so much despite their weaknesses, we might learn something useful. The crowd of aliens began to argue among themselves. Some agreed with General Korth. Others thought Ambassador Nix had a point. The noise grew louder and louder. Queen Velara finally spoke. Her voice was not loud, but somehow everyone heard it. The room became quiet immediately. General Korth speaks of what humans have done, the Queen said slowly. Ambassador Nix speaks of what humans have achieved. Both are correct in their own way. She stood up from her crystal throne. She was even taller than Hyun had thought. Her 6 arms moved gracefully as she walked down the steps toward him. But I am more interested in something else, the Queen continued. I want to know what humans are. She stopped just a few feet away from Hyun. This close, he could see that her skin was not just green. It had patterns of other colors that moved slowly across her surface. Her eyes were like jewels with many sides. Each side reflected light differently. Lee Hyun of Earth, she said. You have heard the charges against your species. General Korth believes you are dangerous criminals who must be stopped. What do you say? Hyun knew this was the most important moment of his life. Maybe the most important moment in human history. He thought about his friends Park Soo and Kim Dami, waiting for him to return. He thought about Earth, where people were going about their normal lives, not knowing they might all die soon. He also thought about what Ambassador Nix had said. The aliens were curious about humans. That was something he could work with. Your Majesty, Hyun said, trying to keep his voice steady. General Korth is right that humans and Viridians have fought. But he is wrong about why we fought. Explain, the Queen commanded. We did not attack your ships because we wanted to hurt you, Hyun said. We defended ourselves because we were afraid. Your ships appeared near our worlds without warning. They began taking materials from our asteroid belts and moons. We did not know what you wanted or if you planned to attack us. You should have surrendered immediately, General Korth interrupted. All species surrender when they see our power. But humans are not like other species, Hyun replied. We do not surrender easily, even when facing a stronger enemy. This is not because we are evil. It is because we have learned that sometimes fighting back is the only way to survive. Queen Velara tilted her head. Tell me more about this. Why do humans think differently from other species? Hyun thought carefully before answering. He needed to help the aliens understand humans without making them seem more dangerous. On our homeworld, he began, humans were not the strongest animals. We were not the fastest or the biggest. Many creatures could kill us easily. But we survived by working together and using our minds. We learned to make tools and solve problems. Many species use tools, Ambassador Nix said. Yes, Hyun agreed. But humans had to become very good at it because we had no other choice. We also learned to adapt to different environments. Humans live in hot deserts, cold mountains, wet jungles, and dry plains. We can eat many different kinds of food. We can change our behavior to fit new situations. Queen Velara listened carefully. And this makes you fight instead of surrender? It makes us creative, Hyun said. When we face a problem, we try to find a new solution. Sometimes the solution is to fight. Sometimes it is to run away. Sometimes it is to make friends with the enemy. Friends with the enemy? The Queen repeated. Yes, Hyun said. Humans believe that today's enemy might become tomorrow's ally. We have learned that working together is often better than fighting. General Korth made a sound of disgust. Weakness. The strong rule the weak. That is the natural order, is it? Hyun asked, looking directly at the general. Your Majesty, may I ask a question? The Queen nodded. How many species has the Viridian Empire conquered? Hyun asked. 47 star systems, General Korth answered proudly. 19 different species. And how many of those species still exist? Hyun asked. There was a long pause. General Korth's face darkened. That is not important. I think it is very important, Hyun said. Because if you destroy every species you conquer, you lose something valuable. What could we possibly lose? The Queen asked. Her voice sounded genuinely curious. You lose their knowledge, their skills, their different ways of thinking, Hyun explained. Every species that evolves on a different world will solve problems in different ways. They will create art and music and stories that no one else could imagine. When you destroy them, you destroy all of that forever. The room was very quiet now. Even General Korth seemed to be thinking about what Hyun had said. Queen Velara studied Hyun's face for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised everyone in the room, including Hyun. She smiled. The Queen's smile was not like a human smile. Her mouth was different, with more teeth that looked sharp and dangerous. But there was something in her large eyes that seemed almost friendly. The aliens in the crowd looked shocked. Many of them had never seen their Queen smile at anyone who was not a Viridian. Interesting, Queen Velara said. You speak of preserving what others create, yet your own species has wars among themselves. Humans fight humans all the time. How do you explain this? Hyun felt sweat on his forehead. The Queen was testing him, trying to find holes in his argument. You are right, Your Majesty. Humans do fight each other, but we also learn from our mistakes. Our wars have taught us that peace is better than fighting. That is why we try to solve problems with words when we can. But you still have wars, General Korth pointed out. Even now, some human groups fight other human groups. Yes, Hyun admitted. We are not perfect. We are still learning and growing. But each time we fight, more humans understand that cooperation works better than conflict. We are getting better slowly. Ambassador Nick stepped forward. This is what I find fascinating about humans. They admit their mistakes and try to improve. Most species we encounter either surrender immediately or fight until they are all dead. Humans do something different. They are stubborn, General Korth said with disgust. No, Ambassador Nix replied. They are adaptable. They change their behavior based on new information. This is very rare. Queen Velara walked closer to Hyun. She was so tall that he had to look up to see her face. Li Hyun of Earth, you say that humans learn from their mistakes. What have you learned from fighting the Viridian Empire? This was a dangerous question. Hyun knew that his answer could determine what happened next. He thought about the small battles that had happened over the past 3 months. Human ships were no match for Viridian technology. If the aliens wanted to destroy Earth, they probably could. We learned that we misunderstood your intentions, Hyun said carefully. We thought you were planning to invade our worlds. But maybe you were just exploring or gathering information. We should have tried to communicate first instead of assuming the worst. And what else? The Queen asked. We learned that you are much more advanced than we are. Your technology is amazing. Your ships are beautiful and powerful. We realized that we could learn many things from you, if you were willing to teach us. Several aliens in the crowd made sounds of surprise. It was unusual for a species to admit that others were superior. But, Hyun continued, we also learned that being advanced in technology does not always mean being advanced in wisdom. Sometimes simple solutions work better than complicated ones. Sometimes a different perspective can solve problems that experience cannot. General Korth's eyes flashed with anger. Are you saying that humans are wiser than Viridians? No, Hyun said quickly. I'm saying that humans might be wise in different ways, just like you are strong in ways that we are not. Queen Velara raised one of her hands and General Korth stepped back. She continued to study Hyun's face. You speak well, human. But words are easy. Actions are what matter. If humans are truly interested in cooperation, why do your leaders refuse to meet with us? Why did they send only you? Hyun had been expecting this question. Because they are afraid, Your Majesty. Just like we were afraid when your ships appeared near our worlds. Fear makes people do stupid things, but fear can also be overcome when people understand each other better. And you are not afraid? The Queen asked. Hyun thought about lying but decided that honesty was more important. I am terrified, Your Majesty. I am one human standing in a room full of beings who could kill me without effort. I know that you could destroy my entire species if you chose to. But I am here because someone had to try to build a bridge between our peoples. The Queen nodded slowly. Fear and courage together. This is something I understand. She turned away from Hyun and addressed the crowd of aliens. My people, you have heard this human speak. General Korth believes we should eliminate their species as a threat. Ambassador Nix believes we should study them. What do you think? The aliens began to talk among themselves. Their voices rose and fell like waves. Some groups seemed to be arguing. Others appeared to be discussing calmly. Hyun stood in the center of it all, feeling very small and alone. After several minutes, Queen Velara called for silence. I have heard your thoughts. Some of you agree with General Korth. Some agree with Ambassador Nix. Some have other ideas, but I am your queen, and the final decision is mine. She walked back to her crystal throne but did not sit down. Instead, she stood beside it, looking out over her court. For 300 years, she began, the Viridian Empire has grown by conquest. We have taken what we wanted from weaker species. We have eliminated those who resisted us. This has made us powerful and feared throughout the galaxy. General Korth nodded approvingly. Ambassador Nix looked thoughtful. But, the Queen continued, I have begun to wonder if power and fear are enough. When I look at our empire, I see great achievements. But I also see something else. I see that we have become predictable. Several aliens looked confused. General Korth frowned. We solve every problem the same way, the Queen explained. If another species has something we want, we take it. If they resist, we destroy them. This has worked for centuries. But it has also made us lazy in our thinking. She pointed at Hyun. This human has said things that no Viridian would say. He admits weakness but calls it strength. He speaks of learning from enemies. He suggests that preserving diversity is more valuable than achieving uniformity. These ideas are strange to us. They are foolish ideas, General Korth said, are they? The Queen asked. General, when was the last time the Viridian Empire created something truly new? When did we last solve a problem in a way that surprised even ourselves? General Korth opened his mouth to answer, then closed it again. He could not think of an example. Queen Velara looked around the room. We have become very good at using the discoveries of others. We take their technology and improve it. We study their art and copy their best ideas, but we no longer create original things ourselves. Ambassador Nix stepped forward. Your Majesty, are you suggesting that we need other species to help us innovate? I am suggesting, the Queen said slowly, that perhaps we have been thinking about this problem in the wrong way. She turned to face Hyun directly. Lee Hyun of Earth, you have spoken about cooperation and learning from diversity. These are pretty words, but I have a more practical question for you. Hyun waited, his heart beating fast. If the Viridian Empire chose not to destroy humanity, the Queen said, what could your species offer us that we do not already have? This was it. This was the question that would determine the fate of Earth. Hyun knew he had to give the best answer of his life. But before he could speak, the Queen added something that stunned everyone in the room. And if your answer satisfies me, she said, I will consider something that no Viridian ruler has ever considered before. I will consider asking another species to teach us instead of demanding that they surrender to us. The silence that followed was so complete that Hyun could hear his own heartbeat. The silence in the throne room was so deep that it felt heavy. Hundreds of alien eyes stared at Hyun, waiting for his answer. He could feel the weight of billions of human lives resting on his next words. His mouth felt dry, but he knew he could not show weakness now. Your Majesty, Hyun began, his voice steady despite his fear. You ask what humans can offer that you do not already have. The answer is not what we can give you. It is what we can discover together. General Korth made a sound of disgust. More pretty words with no meaning. But Queen Velara held up one hand to silence him. Continue, human. Hyun took a deep breath. You said that the Viridian Empire has become predictable. You take what you want and destroy what resists. This works, but it limits your growth. Humans offer something different, the ability to find unexpected solutions. Give me an example, the Queen demanded. Hyun thought quickly. He needed something concrete, something the aliens could understand. Your Majesty, how do Viridians build spaceships? The Queen looked puzzled by the question, but answered. We grow them from special metals and crystals. Our ships are living organisms combined with technology. They heal themselves when damaged and adapt to different environments. That is amazing, Hyun said genuinely. Human ships are much simpler. We build them from ordinary metals and computers. They cannot heal themselves or adapt. But they have one advantage. They can be repaired by anyone with basic tools. Ambassador Nix stepped forward, looking interested. What do you mean? A Viridian ship is like a perfect flower, Hyun explained. It is beautiful and complex, but if something goes wrong with its core systems, it might die completely. A human ship is like a simple machine. If one part breaks, you can replace it with a different part, even a part that was not originally designed for that ship. Crude, but effective, Ambassador Nix murmured. Exactly, Hyun said. Now imagine what we could build together. Viridian technology that grows and adapts, combined with human engineering that can be repaired and modified by anyone. We could create ships that are both living and practical, elegant and reliable. Queen Velthara's large eyes focused intently on Hyun. This is an interesting idea, but it is still just an idea. How do I know that humans would actually share their knowledge freely? Because that is what humans do when we trust someone, Hyun replied. We share information because we believe that everyone benefits when knowledge spreads. On Earth, our greatest discoveries have come from people working together, sharing ideas across different cultures and ways of thinking. General Korth stepped forward aggressively. Trust. You speak of trust when your species has fought us for months? Yes, Hyun said, turning to face the angry general. Because trust has to start somewhere. Someone has to take the first step even when it is dangerous. And you think humans are willing to take that step? The Queen asked. I think I am willing to take that step right now, Hyun said. Your Majesty, I will share something with you that my government told me never to reveal. The room grew even quieter, if that was possible. Several aliens leaned forward to hear better. Humans have developed a new type of energy source, Hyun continued. It is much more efficient than anything we had before. We have been afraid to use it, because we thought you might try to steal it. But I'm telling you about it now because I believe cooperation is more important than fear. Ambassador Nix looked excited. What kind of energy source? It uses the same principles that power our sun, but in a much smaller and safer form, Hyun explained. We call it fusion energy. One small device can power an entire city for years without producing dangerous waste. General Korth's eyes widened. You are giving us information that could make us more powerful? I am showing you that humans are serious about cooperation, Hyun said. Yes, you could use this information to make your empire stronger, but we could also work together to improve the technology and find new uses for it. Queen Velara was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was thoughtful. This is either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both, Hyun admitted. But someone has to be willing to take risks if we want to build something better than what we have now. The Queen began to pace in front of her throne. Her 6 arms moved gracefully as she walked. Lee Hyun of Earth, you have given me much to think about. But there is something I must tell you. Something that will help you understand why this conversation is so important. She stopped pacing and looked directly at him. The Viridian Empire is not as strong as it appears. This statement caused an uproar among the aliens in the room. General Korth looked shocked and angry. Ambassador Nix looked confused. Other aliens began talking loudly among themselves. Queen Velara waited for the noise to die down before continuing. Yes, we have conquered many star systems. Yes, we have powerful technology and fearsome weapons. But we face challenges that conquest cannot solve. She gestured to the crowd around them. Look at my court. How many different species do you see? Hyun looked around carefully. I see only Viridians, Your Majesty. Exactly, the Queen said sadly. We have conquered dozens of species, but we have not learned from them. We have taken their resources and technology, but we have lost their knowledge, their culture, their unique ways of thinking. General Korth looked uncomfortable. Your Majesty, perhaps this is not the best time to discuss internal matters. This is exactly the right time, the Queen replied firmly. General Korth, tell me, how many new innovations has the Viridian military developed in the past 50 years? The general hesitated. We have improved existing technologies, and that is not what I asked, the Queen interrupted. How many completely new ideas have we created? General Korth could not answer. Queen Velara turned back to Hyun. The truth is that the Viridian Empire has become very good at taking and using, but we have forgotten how to imagine and create. We solve every problem with force because we have forgotten that there might be other solutions. Ambassador Nix stepped forward slowly. Your Majesty, are you saying that we need other species to help us? I am saying that we need to learn from other species instead of destroying them, the Queen replied. For too long, we have believed that being different meant being inferior. But what if being different means being valuable? She walked closer to Hyun again. You humans are weak individually but strong when you work together. You have short lives, but you use your time to create and explore. You face problems by thinking of new solutions instead of using old methods. These differences make you valuable, not dangerous. General Korth could not stay quiet any longer. Your Majesty, this goes against everything the Viridian Empire stands for. We are the strongest species in the galaxy. We do not need help from inferior beings. Queen Velthara's voice became cold and commanding. General Korth, strength without wisdom is meaningless. Power without purpose is empty. We have become strong by taking from others, but we have forgotten how to grow by giving to others. She turned to address the entire court. My people, I have made a decision. We will not destroy the human species. Instead, we will try something that no Viridian ruler has ever attempted. The tension in the room was so thick that Hyun felt like he could barely breathe. We will ask the humans to teach us, the Queen announced. We will learn from them and we will share our knowledge with them. Together, we will discover what we can achieve when different species work as partners instead of as conquerors and conquered. The court exploded in shock, anger, and confusion. But before anyone could speak, alarms began blaring throughout the massive ship. Red lights flashed and the floor vibrated with emergency signals. General Korth's communication device activated with an urgent message. His face went pale as he listened. When the message ended, he looked up at the Queen with fear in his eyes. Your Majesty, he said, his voice shaking, the hegemony fleet has entered our territory. 300 warships heading directly for the human homeworld. They will reach Earth in 18 hours. The throne room transformed into chaos. Aliens ran in all directions, shouting commands and questions. The beautiful crystal throne began to glow brighter, and holographic displays appeared in the air around it. Hyun could see star maps and tactical information, but he could not understand most of it. How many ships? Queen Velara demanded, her voice cutting through the noise. 312 hegemony warships, General Korth replied, reading from his device. They appeared at the edge of our territory 1 hour ago. Their course is set directly for the human homeworld. Hyun felt his blood turn to ice. The hegemony was the most feared military force in the galaxy. Even the powerful Viridian Empire avoided fighting them directly. If they were heading for Earth, it meant only one thing, the complete destruction of humanity. Why would the hegemony attack Earth? Ambassador Nix asked. Humans are not a threat to them. It does not matter why, General Korth said grimly. What matters is that they have enough firepower to turn the human homeworld into dust. There is nothing anyone can do to stop them. Queen Velara studied the holographic displays. Her 6 arms moved quickly, changing the view and examining different angles. How long until they reach Earth? 18 standard hours, came the reply from another alien officer. Maybe 17 if they increase speed. Yun thought about his friends Park Soo and Kim Dami. They had returned to Earth after bringing him to the Viridian ship. They had no idea what was coming. Neither did anyone else on Earth. Billions of people were going about their normal lives, not knowing that death was racing toward them through space. Your Majesty, Hyun said desperately. Can you warn Earth? Can you send a message to tell them to evacuate? General Korth made a sound that might have been bitter laughter. Evacuate? Human, where would they go? Even if every ship on Earth worked perfectly, you could not move more than a few million people in 18 hours. The rest would die anyway. Then we have to fight, Yun said, though he knew how hopeless it sounded. We? General Korth repeated. Human, your entire species has maybe 50 warships. The hegemony has over 300, each one more powerful than anything humans have ever built. This is not a fight. This is an execution. Queen Velara continued to study the tactical displays. She was very quiet, which made everyone else nervous. Finally, she spoke. General Korth, what Viridian forces are available for immediate deployment? The general looked confused. Your Majesty, we have the 4th and 7th fleets in nearby systems, about 140 ships total, but surely you do not intend to. I intend to defend Earth, the Queen said calmly. The silence that followed was even more shocking than the earlier chaos. Every alien in the room stared at their queen as if she had announced that she was going to fly into the sun. Your Majesty, General Korth said carefully. Perhaps I did not hear you correctly. Did you say you want to defend the human homeworld? You heard correctly, the Queen replied. But they are not our allies, the general protested. We have no treaty with them. We have no obligation to protect them. Why would we risk Viridian lives for humans? Queen Velara turned away from the displays to face her court. Because, General Korth, this is our chance to prove that the Viridian Empire can be something more than conquerors and destroyers. She gestured toward Hyun. This human came here alone, knowing he might die because he wanted to build peace between our species. He shared valuable information with us, even though it could be used against his people. He showed trust when trust was dangerous. That does not mean we should die for them, another alien officer said. No, the Queen agreed, but it means we should live for something better than fear and domination. She walked to the center of the room, where everyone could see her clearly. My people, for 300 years we have defined ourselves by what we destroy. Today I ask you to help me define us by what we protect. Ambassador Nix stepped forward. Your Majesty, even if we wanted to help, the mathematics are not favorable. 140 Viridian ships against 300 hegemony warships. We would be outnumbered more than 2 to 1. True, the Queen acknowledged. But we would not be fighting alone. General Korth frowned. What do you mean? Queen Velara looked at Huon. Human, if the Viridian Empire helps defend your homeworld, will your people fight alongside us? Huon did not hesitate. Yes, Your Majesty. Every human who can hold a weapon will fight to defend Earth. Even the 50 human warships, the Queen continued. Combined with our fleet, we would still be outnumbered. But humans have something that might make the difference. What? General Korth asked. Desperation, the Queen replied. And creativity. Humans fight differently when their survival is at stake. They find solutions that others would never consider. She turned to address the entire court. But more importantly, this battle is about more than just saving Earth. It is about proving that cooperation can triumph over domination. If we win this fight together, we will show the entire galaxy that there is an alternative to conquest and destruction. General Korth was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was troubled. Your Majesty, I have served the Viridian Empire for my entire life. I have always believed that strength comes from standing above others, not beside them. And what has that belief given us? The Queen asked gently. The general looked around the room. Power, fear, respect, but not growth, the Queen said. Not innovation. Not the joy that comes from creating something new with others. She walked over to General Korth and placed one of her hands on his armored shoulder. Old friend, I am not asking you to abandon everything you believe. I am asking you to consider that there might be another path to strength. General Korth was silent for a long time. The entire court waited for his response. Finally, he straightened his shoulders and saluted his queen. Your Majesty, if you command me to defend Earth, I will defend Earth. But I want it known that I believe this is the most dangerous decision in Viridian history. Noted. The Queen replied with what might have been a smile. Now how quickly can we get our fleets moving? The next hour was a blur of activity. Huon was given a communication device so he could contact Earth and warn them about the coming attack. The conversation with human leaders was difficult and shocking, but they agreed to coordinate their defense with the Viridian fleet. Queen Velara herself took command of the combined operation. She studied human ship designs and combat tactics, looking for ways to integrate them with Viridian strategies. Ambassador Nix worked with human engineers to share technical information that might help in the battle. As the two fleets prepared to meet at Earth, Queen Velara spoke privately with Huon. Human, she said, you should know that we may not survive this battle. The hegemony is very powerful and they do not show mercy. I understand, Your Majesty, Huon replied, but win or lose, what happens today will change everything. You have chosen to protect instead of conquer. That choice will be remembered. I hope it will be remembered as the beginning of something better, the Queen said, not as the end of the Viridian Empire. When the combined human Viridian fleet reached Earth, they found the hegemony ships already in position around the planet. The enemy ships were huge and dark, like metal storms hanging in space. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships, small and fast, darted between the larger vessels like angry insects. Viridian ships, graceful and powerful, struck with precision and elegance. Together they fought with a coordination that surprised even themselves. Huon watched from the bridge of the Viridian flagship as Park Su's engineering skills helped repair damaged alien ships, and Kim Dami's scientific knowledge found weaknesses in hegemony defenses. Humans and Viridians worked side by side, sharing information and supporting each other. The battle was long and costly. Many ships from both sides were destroyed. But slowly, the combined fleet began to push back the hegemony forces. The enemy had not expected such fierce resistance, and they had definitely not expected humans and Viridians to fight together. When the last hegemony ship finally retreated, Queen Velara made an announcement that was broadcast across the galaxy. Today, the Viridian Empire learned something new. We learned that true strength comes not from the worlds we conquer, but from the friends we choose to defend. We learned that cooperation can achieve what domination never could. She paused. looking out at the stars where human and Viridian ships flew together in formation. From this day forward, the Viridian Empire will seek partners, not subjects. We will offer our strength to protect others, not to dominate them. And we will prove that the galaxy is big enough for many different kinds of life to flourish together. 6 months later, Hyun stood once again in the crystal throne room, but everything had changed. Now human ambassadors worked alongside Viridian diplomats. Human engineers learned from alien technology while sharing their own innovations. Artists from both species created new forms of beauty that neither could have imagined alone. The Queen's words had indeed stunned everyone. But more than that, they had transformed the Viridian Empire from conquerors into protectors, and from destroyers into builders. And in a galaxy that had known mostly fear and domination, the friendship between humans and Viridians became a beacon,